To understand our world, we must look through the lens of why.
Welcome to WhyLens. Here, we don't just scratch the surface, we peel it back. Every single week we take one idea, one trend, or maybe one uncomfortable truth, and we dissect it with razor-sharp clarity. No fluff, no bias, just honest storytelling that completely challenges how you see the world. And today, today we are diving into what might literally be the most mind-bending structural anomaly ever discovered in nature. We're going to strip away all that pseudoscience, the mystical rumors, and those romanticized pop culture myths you see online to reveal a darker but vastly more fascinating truth about your existence and the cosmos itself.
Take a look at these two incredible images. One of them is a simulated slice of the universe, what astrophysicists actually call the cosmic web. It's the massive, large-scale structure of dark matter and galaxies. The other one? That's a microscopic slice of the human brain. Specifically, it's the neuronal cortex, stained so you can see all its tiny filaments. I mean, the visual parallel is just undeniable, isn't it? It is genuinely eerie. You're looking at two systems separated by unimaginable, mind-boggling extremes of scale. Yet, they look like they were drawn by the exact same architect.
So, naturally, when people see a visual coincidence like this, it sparks a massive amount of modern mythology. You've probably seen it all over social media and in pop science forums. People look at these patterns and immediately ask, wait, is the universe a giant thinking brain? Is the cosmos actually some massive conscious entity observing itself? Is our entire reality just a fleeting thought in a galactic neural network? It's a super fun, almost comforting idea. But, here at WhyLens, we're after the actual truth. Before we get completely carried away, I want to share this brilliantly blunt reality check from a user on the Reddit Ask Physics board. They are responding to this exact cosmic brain theory, and they wrote, "Our brains seek patterns. We are really good at that. The problem is, some patterns are not actual patterns, and sometimes they are coincidences. Saturn is not engaged to be married, Mimas did not destroy Alderaan, and there's a picture of a tree that looks graphically like two people fucking, but no fucking is involved." Now, obviously that's a bit crude, but they hit the nail absolutely on the head. Human brains are heavily, inherently wired to seek out familiar patterns. To understand what's really happening between your brain and the universe, we literally have to look past the aesthetics and dig right into the hard math.
And that is exactly what happened when an astrophysicist from the University of Bologna and a neurosurgeon from the University of Verona teamed up for a fascinating joint study. They didn't just look at pretty pictures. They actually ran the data. First, let's just consider the sheer scale of the individual nodes in these networks. The human brain's cerebellum contains a staggering 69 billion neurons. On the flip side, the observable cosmic web is estimated to contain at least 100 billion galaxies. So, right off the bat, the numerical similarity between the nodes in both of these vastly different systems, they're playing in the exact same ballpark.
But here is where the coincidence turns into a profound statistical isomorphism, basically a mathematical mirror image. These researchers didn't just count the nodes, they analyzed exactly how they connect to one another. When they looked at a sample of thousands of nodes in the cosmic web, they found an average of 3.8 to 4.1 connections per node. And when they analyzed the human cortex, you guessed it, the network averaged the exact same 3.8 to 4.1 connections per node. This proves definitively that this resemblance goes way, way beyond mere aesthetics. We are looking at a deep, structural, and mathematical alignment.
It actually builds even further when we look at how matter fluctuates across both of these networks. Astrophysicists and neurosurgeons mapped out 2D power spectra, which is essentially just a fancy way of measuring the spatial distribution of structural variance to see how matter scatters. And the resulting graph for the cosmic web maps almost perfectly over the graphs for the human cortex and cerebellum. Their shapes are incredibly similar, correlating over 2 full orders of magnitude in scale. To put that into perspective, if you ran this exact same test on tree branches or cloud formations or water turbulence, the graphs look completely different. But the brain and the universe, they share the exact same underlying geometric principles of self-organization.
What's truly fascinating, though, is the actual physical composition of these two systems. They are both absolutely dominated by seemingly empty passive mediums. Think about it. Your brain, it's about 77% water. The universe, it's about 73% dark energy. In both cases, nearly 3/4 of their mass or energy budget is entirely passive. It doesn't actively participate in the actual node-to-node signaling, but its pervasive presence is an absolute, unavoidable physical requirement to build and sustain the active structure of the network itself.
And the mind-blowing data doesn't even stop at physical composition. It extends right into information capacity. The researchers utilized information theory to estimate the total memory capacity of the human brain based on synaptic strengths, and they arrived at roughly 2.5 petabytes. Then, they estimated the memory required to store the complexity of the entire observable universe. Any guesses? It came out to around 4.3 petabytes. They are, astonishingly, in the exact same tier. Theoretically speaking, the entire lifetime experience of a human being could actually be encoded into the distribution of galaxies. Let that sink in for a second.
So, the absolutely crucial question here is why? Why does a biological organ sitting inside your skull and the massive gravitational distribution of the cosmos behave identically? Well, the answer is not that the universe has a consciousness. No, the answer is something much colder and honestly, arguably much more awe-inspiring. I like to call it the thermodynamic trap. This is the underlying physical principle dictating that nature must organize matter and route information using specific power laws and fractal topologies, simply to avoid spending infinite energy.
You see, these two networks, they share no thoughts, but they do share a massive problem, the ruthless demand for efficiency. Out in the cosmos, you have gravity forcibly pulling matter together. Inside the brain, you have electrochemistry and this brutal Darwinian competition for biological resources. If either of these systems just grew randomly, they would literally require infinite energy to sustain themselves, which completely violates the laws of physics. So, to survive and function, both systems are trapped. They are physically forced to route matter and energy in the exact same fractal patterns, developing this highly optimized hub-and-spoke topology just to manage their wiring and connectivity.
I want you to really burn this number into your mind. 27. There's a 27 orders of magnitude difference in scale between a microscopic neural network and the macroscopic cosmic web. That is a 1 followed by 27 zeros. It's almost impossible to comprehend. Yet, across that unfathomable gulf of size, the physical laws of thermodynamics are so universally binding and so inescapable that they force completely different fundamental forces, like gravity and biological cell guidance cues, to build the exact same scaffolding.
So no, the universe is not a giant brain. The universe doesn't care about you. It isn't thinking about you. But the beautiful, truly awe-inspiring reality here is that you are a perfect, fractal reflection of its physical laws. The profound complexity of your thoughts, your memories, and your entire consciousness, it all emerges from the exact same strict, inescapable physical limits that string galaxies across the infinite void of space. You are, quite literally, bound by the very same thermodynamic trap that holds the stars themselves together.
If this explainer completely shifted the way you look up at the night sky, or even just the way you think about your own mind, then you absolutely belong here. This is a space built for the curious and the restless. It's for those of us who refuse to just accept comforting myths when the underlying mathematical truth is so much more profound. So hit that subscribe button, join the WhyLens community, and be sure to drop your thoughts in the comments below. Keep seeing things through a sharper lens, and let's keep thinking deeper together.
Why settle for shallow facts? Join the intellectual rebellion. Subscribe to WhyLens now.